Okay.
See, I knew this was going to happen.
We're doing tests.
Is that what we're doing?
Well, we just got booed.
What's that one do?
Press and hold it. You got to
Oh, I
press and
don't
hold
like
it.
that one either. Okay.
You lose.
Certified badass.
There you go. I like that one.
Eternity.
Yeah, right. I put the baby one on there just for Joe. For the comedy show.
Okay.
Just
good.
for Joe Lamons. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Roadkill Drums podcast. We are joined this week by Mark Ferguson and by Tommy Stevens. Welcome, gentlemen. And of course, my name is Laurel, and down the other end, we have Mark Roadkill of Roadkill Custom Drums hosting today. We're trying out something different and doing the headphones this time. I know this is not something we normally do, but we want it to look like a real podcast, like real boys.
Tell the truth.
So
it's
we're
really
doing-
so we can push buttons.
It's so Roadkill can push buttons. He's been begging me for forever.
Forever.
Congratulations, you get to push a button. I have said it since day one.
Certified badass.
There we go.
There's going to be
He
zero
memorized
discussion.
which one that was.
I know, right? It's
Yeah.
right side center button. That's the certified badass
Ah.
one. I can tell you that much.
All right.
There's going to be no context
We're
to
gonna-
this episode. It's just going to be us goofing off with the fucking buttons.
Yeah,
Pretty much the buttons.
Okay.
But attempting to get a conversation underway. Let's start with you, Tommy. You've been
right.
you've been working in sound in the area for a while. You have extensive history with it. You're
Yeah.
in the new band Riverside Revival.
Yep.
And you said something about doing some solo work coming up soon.
So not solo work. I'm actually working on starting my own audio company. So I recently have acquired some gear. Still have some stuff to get pieces for, but I'm wanting to be able to any bands in the area that I have the stuff so that whenever they go out, if it's in their budget and they don't want to have to worry about it, I'll have the stuff to bring out. They'll just need their amps and their microphones and stuff, and I'll bring out the PA and the board, and I'll take care of all the stuff on the backside for them, so they can just focus on their performance itself.
Gosh, so the idea is that a band that wants to go out and start performing, but a lot of venues require them to have a PA. Instead of having to fork over the bill for a PA, they can pay a lot less to have both a PA and a sound guy and get both for a
I
fraction.
can do both.
And a really nice backline drum kit.
There you
Yeah,
go.
we could work that in too, Mark.
Making business happen. You know? Well, if you ever need any film or video or pictures taken, this is the whole thing. We just got to get Ferguson in on it. If they need a drummer,
Yep.
we're including everybody.
There you go. All that covered.
That's cool. So what's the company gonna be called? Have you decided on the name yet?
I'm still shopping around with names. But I had a really good friend of mine, Eric Googe. He passed away a few years ago. He's the whole reason that I'm into the entertainment industry, period.
He was a great guy.
He was a phenomenal human. One of the hardest deaths I've had in my life. One of my best friends, and also more of like a father figure. But when I was young, I stumbled into a little place in Lake Wales called Toy World, which it was owned by Lake Wales Care Center, and they did underground music. So they had metal bands or anything of that aspect in there. And it was a place for kids to get away that were into that kind of music, or just to get off the street. Didn't know. A lot of people would just stumble in there on a Friday or Saturday night, not knowing what was going on. And they ended up finding a new artist that they liked or meeting new friends. And I stumbled in there one day and met him. And he just looked at me and said, "Hey, you go over there and plug this thing in for me." I don't know who this guy is.
Plug
So-
one in where?
He showed me, and then just slowly over the years, he started teaching me how to do audio, a little bit of lighting and stuff. From there, I went into my own realm. And so I'm shopping the names right now, but I'm thinking T&G Audio for Tommy and Gooch because that's what everybody knew him as. He was a really big staple around here. He was the in-house guy at Jesse's for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And just all over. And big part of my life, for sure.
Dude, that's an awesome
So,
story, man. I've heard the name. I have not had. I was never fortunate enough to get to meet him. I've only been here for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've
It was
heard.
before you moved.
I have heard many a story about a few people that kind of fall into that same category. But it's really nice to hear that there are still people out there pushing for those locations, especially for like the younger people to hang out.
Yeah.
Because if you go out to a lot of the music scene nowadays, what you find is it's a lot of folks that, how do I put this nicely, since I'm on the younger end of this table here, it's more of a, we're retired and have time and money to play this stuff. And the younger kids that are trying to get into it, I mean, I can get into the whole thing about how, the school systems aren't doing the music anymore, but we're not getting into that. But
let's not do that.
They suck.
we're not going to get into that yet. But there's less and less opportunities for younger people to really get into it, or at least that's how they feel. I'm sure you go out to Jesse's and go to the Jam. You come out to the Jam out at Grove House Grill, and all the other ones that are out there. There is plenty of opportunity for anybody of all ages to come up there. The only hiccup is that it's on a weekday during the school. Anyways, we'll talk about that later. But
yeah,
it's nice to hear that there are people that have that mindset and have that eye for not only creating that environment, but then seeing people in that environment and saying, let's plug him in or have him plug this in.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely did a great job with getting people involved in things. Another thing that I'm really big involved in now is Lake Wells Mardi Gras. I actually got introduced to Lake Wells Mardi Gras because of him. I would come out and help him with setup and tear down when he would run Mardi Gras, and I would sleep under the stage most of the time.
Oh, wow.
Because at the time, I was too young to enjoy the festivities. Because when it was downtown, it was more of a party.
Yeah.
And all the music was in a beer garden, and you had to be 21 or a child with a parent to be in the beer garden. And I was right out of high school, so I couldn't do either. So I would just crawl under the stage and go to sleep.
You were in the
most
limbo
of the
age.
time.
Everybody tells you to grow up, but
Yep.
you don't get to be a grown up yet.
Yeah. That was when I first started getting involved. So
And we'll dive deeper into the Mardi Gras thing here in just a moment.
yeah.
But I mean, I didn't realize that connection was that deep. That's cool.
Yep. I've been there for, let's see. I started helping him with it there. I think I was 18, maybe.
And how old are you now?
31.
31? Okay.
So
I'm not at the young end of the table. I'm on the younger half, but I'm more mid-range, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, so it sounds like you guys knew Gooch too, right?
Yeah.
All right. Am I saying his name right? Gooch?
Yeah,
All right,
Gooch.
cool. Like Gucci, but cooler.
Yeah. All right. Now that you did
Hit the
that,
badass. Hit the badass.
That's the one I don't even like. No, not the badass.
that one works.
Okay.
I guess.
We're playing with the button. So
I did have opportunity there and fucked it up.
Yep.
So, Mark, you noted to. I knew this was going to happen. I said this since the first episode. I will reference it in this one. I can't give you the buttons. So you're just going to push them. But anyways, so you'd reference it. You sound like you knew Gooch as well.
Oh yeah, he ran a lot of big shows. I mean, he's been out of the Tanners. He was the Mardi Gras big time because when I went there and played on Mardi Gras, he was there 2 years in a row that I remember that I played there when I was with the Blue Roosters at the time, and phenomenal. You couldn't ask for a better guy.
That's
Everything was locked in. You didn't. All you had to say is one word, and he had it. That's hard to find.
Yeah,
That is. It's really hard to find. But yeah, a lot of us miss him, man. He's and it's a shame that he died so young. He left a family behind, and his kids, and they're all great people.
Well, and I mean, it shows how big of an impact somebody has when not just musically, but as a person outside of that. When the community not only can feel like they can rely on them, but that they are missed even to this point beyond, and even longer than that. I mean. When I was at this last year was my first year at Mardi Gras, and I overheard some of your sound guys talking about him, and I was like, I've heard this.
Yeah,
name.
they were we were all good friends. So my audio crew now at Mardi Gras, they just did lighting for Mardi Gras, and Googe did all the audio stuff. And they've worked together and known each other for years.
Oh wow.
Dale and Eric worked together for as long as I could remember while I knew him. And I knew him for a long time.
That's quite the legacy.
Yeah.
Well, pivoting just a little bit, coming back to Mark, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of your history. You talked about playing Mardi Gras 2 years ago with the Blue Roosters, but you have an extensive music history even beyond that.
Well, yeah, I started out when I was a young child. My mom got tired of me beating on her pots and pans.
I did that as a kid.
So she decided that it was time for me to get a music teacher. And she got me one. I was 6 years old. I was living in Delaware at the time. My dad was working for General Foods, and she said, "Please take him." So the fella, he started teaching me rudiments on a practice pad, and I didn't get my first drum set until I was 12. I played on all my friends' drums kits because my parents were reluctant in putting one in the house.
Look, you've met my youngest.
Oh yeah.
Well, I understand the reluctance, but I also understand.
He reminds me of me at his age. That's just how I was. And it's perfect for him because if he gets it now, by the time he gets 6 and starts learning how to play rudiments the right way, he'll go beyond his capacity in no time.
Oh yeah, but right now at 3 years old, he just wants to have fun.
He needs to have fun.
He needs to have fun.
Because if you take the fun away from a child when you first start, they're going to lose interest, and you don't want them to do that.
You talk to any music instructor, especially when it comes to teaching kids. If you start making it a chore and you make it not fun, they're going to lose all interest.
They usually do.
Goes right down.
They really don't. I mean, you can start them out teaching them rudiments, but turn them loose when they're kids. Yeah. When they get like 13, 12, 13, and they want to be in a rock band or whatever type of country band or whatever they want to play, that's when they're really going to sit down and start doing it.
Yeah.
And that's when they become part of them as a whole. So I believe that it's just like your son, the best time in the world for him right now.
Yeah.
I envy him because that's how I used to be. I love it. I love it.
Sometimes you still are. Yeah. I've seen you at the jams.
I love to play. And now that I'm basically, I call it retired. I'm semi-retired.
Yeah.
I have the time to do it all over. I used to do it for a living for a while.
Yeah.
And I raised 3 kids playing music. I was making $1,000 a week.
Wow.
I was working 6 nights a week though.
Yeah.
And it was rough. I used to go from Crystal River to Sarasota and then turn right around and go back and start it all over again. And I lived in the middle of Newport Richey.
Oh, wow.
I did that for 5 years, man.
That's a drive. That's a lot of driving.
And especially
but everything, I was in the center of it though. So if you went out here, I was going to end up home here. By the time I got here, I'd end up home before I went clear out there.
So essentially, if you look at it as Newport Richey and where you were going, it's like the equivalent of being here and going to Orlando or Tampa.
Probably a little bit further.
Yeah,
a little bit further. Yeah. It was a drive, but I mean, the bass player rode with me. I had a little tiny pickup truck with a topper on the back, the bass rig and the drums went with him. The 2 guitars had the PA and the guitars all in a van. We just went. We had it all. We didn't have to worry about it.
That's the hustle you got to put in. I mean,
well, yeah, but the nice thing about it is people don't realize is depending on where you play is depending on how much money you're going to make.
Yeah.
I mean, playing in Polk County is hard. It really is hard. I mean, I watched them when I first came back to Polk County in '96. They were paying each musician $50. I was used to make anywhere from $100 to $150 a night easily over there. So it shows the money difference on the coast because you're playing in beach bars all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And even to this day, they pay more. If you go to private parties over there, I laugh about it, when I had my electronic kit, okay, I could take that little electronic kit, throw it in the back of my truck, drive over there, pull it out and plug it into a stick because the people we were playing for were in condos. Each level of the condo, they have an entertainment room.
Yeah.
Where they can cook the food, have a big party. We would come and play. We'd make $300 a piece. We're working 2.5 hours.
Oh, that sounds
now that
awesome.
was a lot of fun. I didn't really care. I didn't really care for the electronic part that much, but I didn't have to hit them hard.
Yeah.
And they loved it and they paid.
Yeah. And that's what'll make you get over the things.
Let me tell you. And people used to tell me, well, you spend a lot of money in gas. I said, well, let's look at it another way. It's all highway driving all the way there. You go down I-4, hit 275 and turn right up into 275. There's a condo high rises.
Yeah.
No problem. Right. You go in and you play. You're not using any more gas because your highway driving costs less than city driving.
Yeah.
So in other words, the guys over here got to work 3 gigs, drive 3 places, set up 3 times to make what you make over there once.
Yeah.
Although it is nice to go home real quick, you know. I mean, but I mean, if you have the opportunity to do that, I mean, that's good. And another thing about Polk County, it's nice and all, but they're limited to how many places they got for you to play.
Yeah.
You got 5 million bands trying to play in 10 bars or whatever, 12 bars, wherever they have.
If that, it seems like we're losing another one every other week.
Yeah, we were losing them constantly.
They all come back when the snowbirds.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the lifeblood of the state, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
it is.
You look forward to summer because you get all the vacationers, but then the end of summer to October, Halloween timeframe, it's just ghost town throughout most of the state, which can be enjoyed if you want some peace and quiet. And then you get busy all the way till tax day, and then it's quiet again till summer. Yeah, and I'm already starting to see the roads clear out. I don't have to sit at a green light for 10 seconds anymore before I go forward.
So that's a miracle.
It depends on what time of day.
Yeah, but you're talking about green lights that weren't even there 10 years ago for me.
They weren't even there 3 years ago.
They weren't.
Those are lights that weren't even there 3 or 4 years ago.
Those roads that weren't even there in neighborhoods that weren't there.
Yeah.
I'm coming up on 2 years I've been here, and the amount of buildup I have seen in just 2 years is insane. It's insane. Whole neighborhoods.
Well,
we've built a whole nother Hawaii that you came from.
Yeah, I'll give you a prime example. But back when I moved from Fort Lauderdale when I was a kid up here to Polk County, there wasn't but 2 lanes out there.
Mm-hmm.
That was it, and you saw nothing but orange groves.
Yeah.
Now it's wall to wall houses, condos, whatever they want to throw up. It's gotten to been. It's even grown since '96 when I moved back over here. It's still small.
I saw a statistic the other day that Polk County alone since 2020 has a 45% growth rate, and there's almost 900,000 people that live in Polk County now.
Wow.
And there's not enough schools.
Nope.
There's not enough hospitals.
There's not enough water.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Welcome to the economics podcast.
Dundee does not want you to move here because they don't have the water to spare for you. You know, they've already had their little thing. I've seen them on the news.
Oh yeah, and it's you can point to all the different reasons. I mean, my wife talks about how her family works in agriculture, and she actually does have a job where she works kind of in agriculture, at least sort of retail side of it. And these guys will constantly talk to us about how their industry out here is changing, and you can go into the reasons, but basically citrus is becoming more and more difficult to produce here. It's easier to produce in other places, and so a lot of those companies, they have to move them to other places. So what's left to do with the land here? It becomes a big question of what do we do
there
now?
was a lot of disease. There was a lot of disease here too, and it was hard for the orange crop people to replace them, and they got a little tired of it. And if you look basically in this section where 27 is, they're moving out towards Camp Mac and places like that to replace orange trees out in that area that used to be cattle land.
Yeah.
Now, so it's like it changes, and who knows what it'll be in another 10 years. It might be condos for all we know.
And they took out I'll get off the economics train here in just a moment, but in Auburndale, they put that huge Amazon plant up there. And so they're building up all these housing developments all around it to staff the Amazon distribution center, not a plant, the Amazon distribution center. And
live around there. You can walk to work.
Yeah, exactly. I used to live around there, and I was like, yeah, I got Amazon packages within minutes. Yeah. It was awesome.
Instead of days.
That's crazy. But anyways, so shifting back just a little bit, we'll use this as a nice stepping stone. We're talking about venues closing and changing and coming back. I think Bo wants in.
Somebody should be there.
Somebody should be. All right. Either way. So we all heard the sad news that the Duckies had to close. Or they sold to new hands, and I'm not sure if anybody knows what it's going to be yet, or the new owner is going to do with it yet. But I'm hoping that they keep the music alive and continue that development of that big patio outdoor space that Beth had said that they wanted to enclose and create a weather secure place that music could be played and make it still the gathering place that it was becoming.
Yeah, I would think it'd probably have to be more or less portable where they could slide.
Yeah.
The walls in and out, where it could still be see-through and people could look out.
Yeah.
But yet not get soaking wet in the rain.
Yeah.
And just be able to slide it. That'd probably be their best issue.
Or like when you get like the real thick heat humidity and you want to just throw on an AC to just help cool it off. It doesn't have to be, properly AC'd in there, but just to help stave off that extra heat.
Well, the Grove's got those out there where they're at.
Yeah.
Yes.
They ought to do
That's
something
what I'm
like
saying.
that because those fans, they got to blow that cold air.
Oh, that's
really
fantastic.
nice. Yeah.
They've done a great job with
Yeah.
that space out there. Grove House, shout out Grove House Grill, like freaking
Yes.
awesome outdoor space. Like the first time I went out there with you was right at the end of summertime, and it was hot.
It was warm that night.
But even inside there, it was comfortable.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't like air conditioning, but I wasn't sweating either. It
There's
was
been some
comfortable.
days I've been out there where I'm like, oh my goodness,
It's
these
summer.
aren't doing anything.
It's summer. It's Florida.
Yeah.
Get used
Yep.
to it.
You're going to have to live through it. But hey, look, at least it has a roof and fans.
There you go.
So
That's very true.
That's a plus.
It's more than some places.
Well, and they just do a really good job of catering to the music scene and the music following. I feel like a lot of venues, all they're looking at is I want people to attend. I want patrons in my bar. Let's just get this band, and some people come listen to this band. What they discount is that the people that are coming to listen to the band are there because they're fans or friends with the band. They're not just patrons. They're music lovers.
I would say that's 100% true. And what aggravates me about a lot of these bars, and they should wake up, the musicians shouldn't be an afterthought. I mean, come on, make some places where we could park and unload, not 20 blocks away to hump our material in there to go, because it's too many places like that, especially around Winter Haven, around the chain of lakes. Try to get in there and try to unload.
No,
Especially
you're
if
not
you're playing like a festival that they have going on and they have one parking lot for the whole bar. So you have the musicians trying to come in, the patrons that are already there,
The vendors, everybody.
the vendors, and then so it's a Saturday. So say your band doesn't play till 2-3 o'clock. So you're not going to get there until noon. Well, the parking lot's already full. What do I do? Because they don't block off any parking.
I mean, there are, like, you're exactly right. There are places that need to wake up to that as well. But then there are some where they might block it off, but it's not exactly the easiest thing in the world. And I'm going to say this just because it's the only thing that's popping into my mind right now. I want to say very clearly, Grove House does a really good job of leaving the entire back accessible to bands
And
to
the whole,
get access.
and the people have all the front to park.
Exactly.
Yeah, the
So for
back
the
of
parking
Grove
issue-
House, you technically aren't supposed to park back there.
I know.
Unless you're in a band.
Correct.
Or
But
you
that's what
work
I'm saying is like they
Yeah.
do set aside that parking. However, the point that I'm trying to make is, and I know that they're working on this, so please know that I love you guys and that you guys are fantastic, and I'm not.
I'll let
shitting
them
on this
know.
at all. But
We love playing there.
The
Oh, yeah.
big sand trap in the back can make that a bit of a pain. Especially if
So
your car
that
can't handle it.
is, they actually have it blocked off. They had to redo their drain field because of people parking on it.
Oh, I know.
from the
They told
previous
me.
owner.
I'm
So,
using it as an example
Yeah.
that sometimes these venues will section off parking, but it's not always the best. And for whatever reason it is. And again, Grove House is doing a great job. It's right by the door. It's not
Yeah.
fantastic. I'm just using the fact that there's that sand issue there as an example of how sometimes that can be an issue. Grove House is doing nothing wrong. It's a fantastic parking. I just can't think of another option locally that emphasizes my point. Like there was one location in Virginia that I was in a metal band when I was in high school. Who was
I was too.
right?
I was in a lot of this.
And we went to play, I don't even remember the name of this bar, but we went to go play this bar. And they went, oh yeah, the bands park around back. We went, sweet, we're going to get to park up by the door. And you get back there and it is literally a mud hole. And I mean stagnant water. It hadn't rained for days, just
What?
stagnant water, mud hole. And
What
the
is
back
that
door
doing?
was bolted shut. So we had to walk around to the front with all the gear, through the mud with all this equipment.
Been there, done that.
And so that's probably a better
That's what I
example.
call the afterthought for
Yeah.
the band.
Yes, that one is definitely.
Yeah, so like
Afterthought.
they're providing the parking, but then they undercut it by just not being good parking for equipment, for people are about to walk through your bar with muddy shoes or on your stage with muddy shoes. Now I'm trying to change the effects on my guitar pedal with muddy shoes. So we ended up kicking off our shoes by the door and playing in our socks until the bartender saw us and went, no shirt, no shoes, get out. And we're like, okay, well, I'll put my shoes back on, but they're muddy as fuck.
Hang up the sign that says we're in Florida. You can play on your feet.
Well, this was in Virginia. This is in Virginia.
Just tell them you're from Florida.
Right?
It's not your fault.
Exactly. I'm used to that. What are shoes? We stuffy people.
I think there just needs to be a realization with the bar owners and all establishments that use musicians that it's a partnership.
Yeah.
That the musician you're bringing in because they're entertaining the crowd that you already have and bringing more people to it and maintaining that crowd. If it's working out and you're maintaining that crowd, you should share that, equally with the musician.
That was funny.
Mark's being attacked by a light.
No shit attacking me. But, it should always be thought of as a partnership, not I'm trying to get them as cheap as I can, just to save some
This is
fucking
kind of
money.
circling back around to my original point, kind of what got us onto this whole subject is that I wish venues would understand that when you bring in a band, you're not just bringing in a band, you're bringing in their whole group. You're not just going to it's not likely that a band's going to bring in, random Joe Schmo off the street to come in and listen to the band. I'm going to say it. Every other bar has some band playing something, and they're usually all playing different variations of the same songs to a degree.
Pretty
Right?
much.
To a degree.
To a
pretty
degree.
much. So you're not bringing in a band because it's going to attract more people. You're bringing in a band because you're going to bring in that band's group and their friends and the people that like their music and their friends. That little network that creates around there, which is why record labels want to see your
maintain
following.
the crowd you have because those are the people you've got.
Exactly. And all you have to do is bring them in. You don't have to worry about anything else. You don't have to worry about special pricing, nothing. Just bring that band in. That's all you have to do. Comedy clubs are a little differently, and I've learned this. Comedians don't have the followings and the friend circles that bands or musicians do. They just don't. They don't. Comedians don't necessarily set a hangout environment tone the way the musician does. So what a lot of comedy clubs do is not only do they have to sell tickets to pay the comedian, they also have to do like a 2-item minimum at the bar so that way the venue can make something as well. Because there's no guarantee that A, people are going to show up, and B, that they're going to buy anything. Even if they are going to, there's no guarantee that they will. But a band comes with a whole different stigmatism. If you bring that band in, not only are people going to show up, they're going to drink, they're going to buy food, they're going to hang out and stick around a while and have fun and keep that flow going. And that's what I wish.
They create the atmosphere.
They create the atmosphere. And if all you do, you could have a successful bar or a successful restaurant if you completely centered it around a stage and around music being there every night. You could have a successful restaurant, in my opinion, just by doing that. Especially if you got the right bands and the right people in there.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want to get into the science of, oversaturating a band or an artist. You have one person play there every single week.
Then you're going to get less
Yeah.
people. Like
Yeah.
Then you run into a whole different problem.
Yeah.
It's like watching the same movie over and over and over again. You're going to find yourself, saying the lines in your sleep. Nobody wants that. See, there's a whole other dynamic to there. But if you created that environment where it was a restaurant that's about the music and about the musicians, not only are you going to have a successful restaurant, you're going to give the music a place to thrive, and you're going to elevate. Everybody's going to win. And I think I'm going to get off my soapbox now. I feel like I stood up here and I was just like, you guys need to get better. But
sit down.
Sit down, right? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I a long time ago, I was a musician. I played in bands. I toured around. I did the solo thing for a while when I was in Atlanta, Georgia. I was that guy that left heavy metal and became a John Mayer fan. And I was like, I'm in Atlanta. I'm going to go play all the bars that John Mayer used to play before he got famous. And then I quickly realized I don't like this. I love playing music. Don't get me wrong, but I don't like, and I think there's a few people out there that can relate to this. I don't really like playing my original music, especially in a place where people aren't listening to it. It feels, I don't like that feeling of ignored, as well as that pressure of like, I hope they like it. the fuck? It's just a weird feeling for me. I have a lot more fun being behind the scenes and doing front of house sound or video and photography. I get a lot more sense of accomplishment and gratification out of doing something like that. But I understand what it's like to be on that side of it and how that pressure feels up on that stage. And it's one of the reasons why we started the listening room, was to create that environment where you can be heard and your music means something. And I think that, transitioning back to what I was just talking about, an environment, a bar or a restaurant that can kind of do that would go a long ways. And you both have enough experience in music. Do you have any places that really stick out in your mind as like, that was an awesome place to play, that you felt heard, you felt appreciated as a musician? It doesn't have to necessarily be Polk County, just like anywhere in general.
Back when I was on tour in 2017 with a pop punk band that I was in called Pushover, we played a venue in Atlanta called the Masquerade.
Yeah, I know the Masquerade.
It was the new Masquerade.
So Heaven or Hell?
We played Purgatory.
Purgatory, okay.
So they have Heaven, which is their biggest venue, and then Hell is their mid-size, but it's still really big, and then Purgatory is their, like, I think it's like a 500-600 cap room. I'm not 100% sure.
It's kind of the coffee bar equivalent.
It's bigger than a coffee bar.
Well, I know, but like compared to the other ones, it's kind of
they don't really make the large bars anymore. They're becoming few and far between. Back when we started out, when we were younger, I mean, you could go in and 600 to 1,000 people.
Yeah,
you could pack in there, and the big ones in Tampa, and I mean, and in Orlando, you used to be able to go, and I mean, you just pack them.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at half the size of that in the same places, and then the bars over here, they really haven't expanded. What's the biggest bar we have here? Anybody know? I mean,
maybe
here
Cherry Pocket. Cherry Pocket or Tanner's?
Cherry Pocket ain't got no stage. Tanner's.
Well, no, Tanner's. I'm talking about just overall space where you could have the capacity. But I mean, you do have theaters, but they usually have bolted down seats, and for a show, you don't really necessarily.
Well, yeah,
we got the Music Ranch.
It's true. You have the Music Ranch,
but it used to be wide open originally.
Yeah,
back in the day, it was wide open, and it made better because when you came in, you didn't have any doors. The music could just float, but since people moved in, they had to enclose it.
Yeah.
And that kind of just took a lot of the fun right out of it because it was all open and wide.
I'd love to get Phil on the show to hear his story because I've heard tits. I've heard tidbits of the story. Don't spit your beer out. Tidbits. I've heard tidbits of the story about how like he had this land, he had this grand vision, things were going really well, and then all these housing developments encroached the line so much and caused all these noise complaint issues, and it just kind of took the sauce right out of the whole thing.
It did. And the nice thing about it is you have one guy out doing the sound at the end where the overhang was.
Yeah.
But you have a recording studio recording that whole thing right to your right of the stage.
Yeah.
And that was one of the great features they had. And if you were a band and you wanted something recorded, you could get it done live there at the same time they're listening to you.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That was a really, really cool thing that they had going on out there.
That's something that we've been developing over at the listening room too, is being able to plug directly into the system and utilize room mics that the comedians use to get like the laughter and ambient noises from a comedy show and funnel that in to get the ambient crowd and room noise as well as the direct line recordings as well. I'm not sure if you've heard Blake Free's album. We did back in September.
I think I saw the
only
teasers
100
and stuff
times.
that you guys did,
but I mean, we're going to be doing one for Josh Kirchie coming up here in just a few days.
Yeah, I'll be there.
But, yeah, sweet, awesome.
Yeah.
Give me some tips. See what you think about the room ambience. But, it's one sound guy to another. And so I'm testing this because I want to eventually either create my own or find another venue to partner with where full bands can do exactly this. And Music Ranch was one that I had my eye on to trying to chat with Phil. And I won't dig too deep into that, but I live out in Lakeland, so that would have been fantastic. But they just built this new like cowboy like line dancing bar out in Lakeland too. That apparently has another one. I don't know what this one's called, but it's just up the road from my house. But they've had some pretty big country stars come through and perform there.
Well, there used to be country bars down in in Auburndale, right there before you get into Lakeland, and They were huge.
Oh,
They had a
there's-
big size.
I'm listening, but there's a farm in just north of Auburndale in Polk City that I took my family to. Let me see here, Polk City. I can't remember the name, and I want to make sure I get this right.
Farms are starting to remind
Harvest-
me of Woodstock
Harvest
already.
Hall.
Right?
Harvest Holler Corn Maze and Pumpkin Patch is this
Oh,
fantastic farm that I've taken my kids to for a couple years for like fall festival and Halloween and stuff, because they set it up, the corn mazes, everything, but they have these huge, like, I guess you'd call it a blown out barn, but they had this big barn. They put this massive stage on. You can see all the riggings for the lights and sounds, and then they blew out the like 3 of the walls and left the roof complete. And so there's this massive space for, it would be fantastic for like a big outdoor festival or show space or what have you. I mean, the stage is still all decorated. It looks like something off of Hee Haw. Like, it looks fantastic. But last time I was there, they were kind of just using the whole thing for storage. There was just junk all over.
Well,
it.
it depends on what's going on. I mean, there was actually over in Orlando, there was one called the Barn years ago.
Is it the Blue Barn? Because I've heard of that one.
I don't. All I remember is it's called a barn. We're talking way back.
Okay.
You know, back when they had old classic rock and roll, and you were in there. But a band called Sea Level used to play out there. It was kind of like the mixture of the old Allman Brothers
Yeah.
and my God, that place was so big. It was like you were in like a movie theater times 4 length.
Oh, wow.
And it was big, and it had a stage on it that was just awesome.
So this begs the next question. And then we'll kind of start to wrap things up here. We're talking about the everybody's got, you've got 100 bands vying over 10, 12 bars in the area, but then you do still have some of those big amphitheaters. I mean, there's the Central Florida Amphitheater just outside of Tampa, which is the big grass hill, the one that they got their roof blown over with the last hurricane. Then you've got the Raymond James Stadium and all those really big venues, but those mid-sized places like the Masquerade are kind of going away. So as an artist and as a musician or as a band, you've kind of lost that stepping stone from going from the small bars and restaurants to getting to that point where you're playing the big venues where you pack people in. So what
happened to the midline?
What happens to the mid?
Yeah, what happened in the midline?
Also, a lot of the smaller, like, entry level places are disappearing too. Like, I remember when I was a kid, there were churches that would let people play there all the time.
Well, I can tell you exactly what happened with the churches, because a lot of bands I played in used to play a lot of churches, and when we came back and said, "Hey guys, you ready to do another show?" the churches closed their doors on us, and it was wasn't because of anything we did, wasn't because of the music we were playing, wasn't even because of the swearing or anything we were doing on the church stage, which I'll be honest, we were. But it was because people that were fans or friends or friends of friends disrespecting not only the property, but I guess the church custodians would come in the next day to clean up to get ready for the next Sunday service, and they would find like little dime bags sitting on the bathroom sinks.
Yeah,
that
so
would
it
kind
does
of put a
happen.
damper on that.
That
right
does
quick.
happen. There are still places that do it though.
Yeah, there are still.
There's a place out in Brandon. It's called the Noise Box. I
cool.
actually do production out there for them too, but they have like anywhere from small Joe Schmo, like, hey, I started a band 2 weeks ago, to like bands that I've seen there that are now selling out arenas.
Okay, so but see, like, I had never heard of that until just now.
Yeah.
And I can promise you several of the other bands in the area probably haven't heard of it either.
Yeah.
So like, maybe this is a great way for folks to learn about it. Was the Noise Box?
Yeah, the Noise Box.
The Noise
Okay,
Box.
is Noise Box the guy that is making the spaces out of sea cans?
No.
Okay, it's a different Noise Box.
Yeah, so this one, it's a church
Sequence.
out in...
Oh, you talking
yeah,
the
with
Connex boxes or
yeah.
whatever?
Oh, they make seats out of it?
No, they make little studios.
What? That's
Yeah,
cool.
that you can place in a parking lot at, because real estate's a bitch.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
especially anywhere downtown convenient like that, but like bank across from Grove Roots,
Yeah.
you could sit one in there, run electric to it, have it available for somebody to go in, take their equipment.
Mhm.
Of course, it'd have electric and power. So they
Yeah.
take their equipment, or you can even provide some, depending on what kind of deal you want to set up with them. But then they have an area of space, soundproof, that they can go get together, jam, record, do whatever at a fairly cheap price because
That's
you're not
cool.
paying for that big real estate bill.
Yeah.
Well, so on that same exact note, and I'm probably shooting myself in the foot because this is something that I'd like to do eventually. Is there anything in the area like a rehearsal space for bands?
Around here?
Yeah.
Not that I know of.
The only place I've found so far, especially with if you're in a park, you can get some space.
Okay.
Like me in the summer, our Northerners go back.
Yeah.
I got the clubhouse all summer. I can have people come down and practice
Okay.
and play. And mine's not that big compared to some of them. Like this Friday, I'll be playing at Four Lakes,
We're talking
big
about,
place, and it's huge.
We're talking about young guys that are under 55 and can't live in those parks.
We didn't say you had to live there. You have to have someone like me to get you in there.
I know for a little while. I don't
Press
know.
the white button, Mark. Press the white one.
I was wondering where that button was.
I'm not inviting him
That's the one
over.
I said. That's the one I said I wasn't going to push.
I know
nothing.
a friend of mine, Brandon. He rents a storage unit, and he was letting bands like rent it out. Like he had specific days a week where he has a full PA in there, light rig, and
Yeah.
everything. And if bands wanted to rent it, it was X amount a month, and you could go in. Like everyone would get a specific day or 2 days, depending on how many people were in there. I'm not sure if he's still doing it, but
Well, we
I
had
know he
had
did
something
that,
similar to
but-
that over in in Holiday, Florida. We rented a warehouse, a buddy of mine and myself. We had power, we had everything. The owner, all it was with the owner was, okay, you guys can play, but you gotta wait until 7:00 at night to stop because it was in an industrial zone,
Yeah.
and you got to be done by 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Anytime in between there, have a blast. And we did, because there's a lot of bands that had their own places like we did in there,
Yeah.
where we had a huge place. We were living in there for probably 3 months
That's cool.
because we made an upstairs loft. It was so big, we made an upstairs loft. We had 2 garage doors, one on each side, and the stage right behind in between those doors facing into us,
Oh man.
and soundproofed it. We had his van over there and my little truck over here. We closed the doors. Nobody even knew we were there.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I'm talking about. When
Yeah.
I was out in Hawaii, just for fun, they had this. They had rented out like 3 or 4 large office spaces. Like the smallest one was maybe the size of this room, and they got bigger from there. And you could go online and for like $20, I took you there.
Yeah, we went.
You could, for like $20, you could get 2 hours to go in there. They had a full drum set, PA system, microphones, mic stands, amps, everything. The only thing you needed to bring was like a guitar or a keyboard. Everything else they had. There was sofas and mini fridges
for $20
for $20
Oh,
for
no
2
shit.
hours.
In Hawaii.
Yeah, in Hawaii.
It's crazy as
Holy.
shit.
Which-
And I was playing a Gretsch not broadcaster, but a Renown kit
Yeah.
with very nice cymbals on it. It was a mix, but it was nice cymbals. I was like, hell yeah,
But-
this is fun.
I did get to meet a couple of small bands out in Hawaii that were like, hey, we're having rehearsal. We're looking for someone to fill in on guitar with us, meet us out here at the studio to do some rehearsal with us. And I went, okay, where is this place? And it was like walking into downtown Tampa, full blown industrial building. You were there.
Yeah.
And you just kind of go down these stairs and in this hallway, and then you pay for it online. They send you a code. You walk up to a door. It's got one of those digital door locks. You punch in the code. It unlocks the door and you go in. Air conditioning, soundproof, the whole
That's
9 yards.
crazy.
And they had several of them. So I was like, why? I feel like, do you think bands around here would utilize something like that? Not only as a rehearsal space, but with the full system setup, you could do your own recordings in there or bring in an engineer to do recordings in there and get studio grade audio.
As long as it was padded down for it, you could.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the idea, right?
Yeah.
The space they were in was quite literally an industrial, or not industrial, a commercial business office building. So they had it like seriously sound padded in there. But
And it was
Even-
in the basement where
yeah, where you
Had
all
the
the
thick
insulation,
walls.
yeah.
We don't have-
Concrete and ground.
we don't have.
Yeah, you're not going to push any
What's
harder
a-
than ground.
You go,
What's a basement?
you go in a basement in Florida, you're gonna drown.
You're not kidding. But
there's
just
a
like,
few on the hills.
but like, you can get Connex boxes, maybe not very big ones, but you can get someone for like $1,000 or less. And I've seen people turn them into like these huge elaborate houses
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
fraction of the price of building a house from scratch of the same size.
And it's all steel.
Yeah.
Mhm.
and just coat it on the inside.
Yeah.
You're done.
I
Well,
mean,
they're 2,000 and 3,000 now. It's gone up. But,
unfortunately, probably because of those people that are turning them into houses. So now there's something
I
interesting
still
buying
want to do
them.
that.
I think it'd be a lot of fun, but I think it'd be a lot of fun to get 2 or 3 Connex boxes and basically make a place that's 2 to 3 times the size of this room. And then not only have it as a space that we could use for something like this, but also be able to say, hey, here's the schedule. It's available for you to book for your band to practice, recording studio, that whole 9 yards. Just schedule it with us, and then we'll give you your time slot and come on by. I think that would be a fantastic thing to do around here.
And easy enough. Problem again is location.
Yep.
Yeah,
Real
okay.
estate.
Yeah.
You know, that's where the money is. It's going to cost you for the real
This
estate.
is just going to be an economics podcast from now. We keep circling back to it. Maybe that's my fault, but we just keep
I
circling back
keep
to it.
circling back to my clubhouse where I know I already pay rent. I can go,
Well, but that's an idea I don't think a lot of people have thought of, because whether you live in a 55 and over community or not, if you have any sort of a community, most of them have some sort of a clubhouse. If there's a pool in your neighborhood, like a community pool, there's usually a clubhouse that goes with it.
yeah.
And that's something to reach out to. I mean, there's one in my neighborhood that I didn't even think about that. That's a great freaking idea, as long as they would be okay with it. I don't see
Hey.
why not.
Why not just approach them as we will play for free?
Yeah. Play your special events out here at the pool
Yeah,
for
once
free.
a
Just let
week
us rehearse here
For
too.
free.
Yeah.
Just don't call it practice.
There you go.
Say we'll play for tits.
There you go. That's ideas for everybody out there.
Okay,
Like, this is a
yeah.
good way to
There's
go.
all kinds of ideas. Don't want to hear no more whining.
But anyways, guys, this has been a lot of fun. I think we've touched on a lot of really cool things. So before we close out, some places we can find music, Riverside Revival.
Riverside Revival on Facebook or Instagram. New around the area. We're going to try to start playing out a lot more frequently, but just check us out on there and you'll see where we're coming from.
I've been hearing good things so far.
Yeah, it's
All
been fun.
And then we'll keep an eye out for your sound business.
Yeah, I'll be making a Facebook page hopefully within the next couple weeks. I have my first official. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but I'm doing Breastfest in Lakeland in May. So
Cool. Well, so just to give you a heads up, this will come out probably in June.
Okay.
So
perfect.
whenever you put your sound company together, make sure you send me the information.
Cool.
And I'll put
Yeah,
it in
for sure.
the tag below.
Yeah.
And Ferguson, where we can find some of your stuff? Where are you playing nowadays?
Wherever they hire me. I'm at that age I can go anywhere. It
That's
doesn't
right.
really matter, you know.
He just
and-
posts on Facebook, drummer available.
Yeah,
this
and people
weekend,
call
picks
me.
up
I
again.
mean, I work from anything from a regular rock band to the people I work at a lot of these parks. They pay good money.
Yeah.
I go to sure I'll come and play for you. You
Yeah.
know, so it's if you want to play, it's out there. But sometimes I figure this is a happy medium until I find the band that I want to be in.
Well, so real quick, to kind of help, since this is an opportunity for you, I want to help kind of brag on you just a little bit, and correct me if this isn't correct, but didn't you play with CCR at one point?
Yeah,
Creedence Clearwater Revival. Did I hear that?
I'm not that old.
Not that. I thought I heard that you played
I'm
with
old enough to
CCR.
know who they are because I
Yeah.
got some albums, but no.
Wow.
I thought I. All right. Well, I'm editing this out.
Pretty sure he's old enough
But
to play
you
with
do.
Elvis.
But you do have some. You hear this? Do you hear this fucker over here?
I heard him.
Yeah.
If you notice,
Man.
I didn't even flinch on that.
So
one.
on the next episode, when his beard's shorter, we know exactly why.
Yeah.
But you do have
because it's
some.
summer, it's getting hot.
That's a good cover story. But but you do have some accolades. You played with some pretty big names that people have heard of. I've had many people tell me you've played with some folks that we
Yeah,
all know.
I've had the opportunity to play with them. I mean, just to sit in and had a really good time. But I'm going to let you know who they are at a later date because I don't want to broadcast it out here.
Certified badass.
That's what I wanted.
There you go.
That's what I wanted.
All right. Well,
Oh,
that's
man.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'd love to hear more about that. But if you don't want to put it on the show, we don't have to.
No, because it'll take me too long to explain it all to you. Once I tell you the story, then you can figure it.
So in other words, we're going to have you back for another episode in the future where you're
There
going to
you
tell some
go.
of these stories.
There
He's
you
going to
go.
come to Nashville.
There you go. Yeah.
The drum show.
Yeah, the drum show up in Nashville going
Which
to
we
in
need
July.
to plug that too before we get there because
Yeah.
that's going to be good. We are doing the Music City Drum Show in Nashville. This is the 5th annual.
Yeah.
It's doubled every year in size. It's getting huge. I'm going to say it's the best drum show in the world. That's only because I ain't been to Europe yet, drum show. But yeah, it's the best one in the States.
This whole show, Roadkill Custom Drum Company, Bulltooth Media, the Roadkill Drums Podcast will all be at the Music City Drum Show in Nashville. This July we'll have cameras everywhere. It's gonna be, my son's gonna be there. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So yeah, you gotta come.
I haven't seen him in a while. You need to drag him back out.
He just got over being sick. Give him a
That's
break.
what I heard. That's what I heard.
I will say this. I will end this on this note. And I'm gonna hurt Roadkill's feelings here a little bit. Whenever we come out to Grove House to jam, you're the first person he looks for, and as soon as he sees you, Grandpa disappears. You are his hero. And he
I gave
loves playing with
him.
you.
I gave him a cool set of sticks. The
Yeah.
first ones that fit his hand.
Yeah,
And I'm the one that's always telling him, no, you can't play it.
yeah.
No, you can't play it.
See,
Paid your way to favor.
Hey.
Mark's over there going,
yeah,
"I said-
do
I
it.
said you can.
Yeah, do it.
Damn right. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out with us.
Yeah.
Thanks for chatting with us and swapping stories,
Always a
talking
pleasure,
economics with us, and letting Roadkill push the buttons.
Yeah.
Feel free. There we go. Yep. That's how I feel.
We got
giving you the
we got to
button.
do some work on programming these. I got some good ideas.
On that note, yes. Guys, thank you for boo. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming out. We'll see y'all next time. Let's go out and have
Awesome.
a drink.
All right.